Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Elvious Void coming back with another video on the channel, which is what if Naruto was Demon King Tanjiro. So yeah, where we left off in the last part of this what if was Naruto and his childhood upbringing, as well as his enrollment in the academy and his passing of the academy, becoming a genin and meeting his Chunin teacher Kakashi and his team of Sasuke and Sakura. So yeah, that's where we pretty much left off. Before we actually get into this video, I'd like to ask everyone to hit that like button and subscribe button, as it really does help in the algorithm of YouTube. So without further ado, let's just get right into the what if. After meeting his new team and meeting his new Jonin sensei Kakashi, Naruto decides to go back to his house and have a long sleep, getting ready for the new exam tomorrow. With the next day coming around, Naruto would get up early, nearing the time that they're supposed to meet the training grounds, and would walk to the training grounds, in which he would see Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto would wave a hello to Sasuke and Sakura, but would only get a good reply from Sakura, waving and smiling back at him, saying good morning to him, while Sasuke looks at his direction for a second and grunts and continues to lie down and wait for their sensei. After 3 hours of waiting, Naruto continues to lie underneath a tree, in which he's nearing Sasuke in another tree, but wants to keep his distance from him. With 3 hours passing, Kakashi would appear. He would say that he's late, and apologize, saying that he came across a black cat and had to go down another path, where he saw an old lady, and she asked him to help her take her groceries back to his house, and by the time he was done, it had been 3 hours, and he came straight here. The three, annoyed by this obvious lie, tried to say something, but was cut off by Kakashi. He then explained the test, showing the two bells. He told them this is a survival test, and that only 2 of them will pass, and 1 of them will go back to the academy and fail, regardless of the outcome. With that being said, they would all disperse into the bushes, and Kakashi decides to read his Ichi Ichi Paradise, believing that there's no way that Genin could possibly defeat him. With Naruto in the bushes, he would decide that there must be something deeper to this test, and would try to smell out where Sasuke and Sakura are, so that they can devise a plan of attack against Kakashi. He would then go off towards them, in which he would find only Sakura, in which he would tell her to come with him, which she complies, and they go off to find Sasuke. Back with Kakashi, he tries to sense for the 3, and can only sense where Sasuke and Sakura are, seeing that Sakura seems to be going towards Sasuke, noting that she must have some good sensory skills, not knowing that Naruto is right behind her, or right in front of her, guiding her to where Sasuke is. Naruto, finding Sasuke, he then tells them, both of them, Sasuke and Sakura, that they need to work together to get the bells, as there must be something deeper to this test, and from what they have learned from the academy, there aren't 2-man teams for Genin, only 3-man squads. With them agreeing that this is a possible outcome, they would then start to form a plan. 5 minutes later, Naruto would sprint out of the bushes behind Kakashi. With Kakashi not really sensing where Naruto is, he'd be caught off guard, but before Naruto could reach and punch Kakashi, Kakashi defends himself, taking his arm out to defend him where his lower part of his arm is, and would defend himself from Naruto's punch. The exact moment Kakashi does, his arm would break, with a lot of fractures going down Kakashi's arm. He would know that this is just the weight of Naruto's punch slamming into his arm, and would note that Naruto has exceptional skill in taijutsu, and that his kicks can even harm him, mainly, because he just broke his arm. He would wince in pain and prepare to defend against Naruto's another attack. Naruto then spin kicks Kakashi, kicking him in the ribs, not as hard as before, just to get him into the arena, or the area, where Sasuke would then appear out of the bushes, launching himself up into the air, and would launch a fireball jutsu down to where Kakashi is, where Naruto had kicked him. Sakura, who was trying to get into the fight, but was hit out of the way, launching her out of the area which Sasuke was shooting the fireball jutsu, with Kakashi as well getting out of the blasting area using the substitution jutsu, substituting with a log to escape the fireball. When the fireball hit the ground, Kakashi had been moved out of the way, and Naruto had to quickly scan the area to see where Kakashi is, only to see him quickly knocking out Sakura as he goes towards Sasuke to finish him off, as he wants to finish this test quickly as his arm is severely broken and can only really fight off using the one arm. With Naruto going in a blur of speed, he would run towards Kakashi and kick Kakashi straight in his stomach, launching him away from Sasuke and into the trees, where, looking back on it, where Kakashi had landed, tens of trees were broken and snapped as Kakashi was smashed through them all and passed out in a crater in the ground. Waiting for Kakashi to wake up from being knocked out by Naruto, both Sasuke and Naruto go to Sakura to wake her up out of, getting knocked out, and would proceed to go towards where the lunchboxes are and eat their brunch, as they didn't eat for, breakfast, but because Naruto, having his demonic type body, he wouldn't have the need to really eat and can hold out himself for much longer, but because the food's there, he would still decide to eat the food that was provided. With Kakashi waking up, he would note that his body is completely bruised and his arms broken, as well as a couple of his ribs. He would then slowly limp towards where the three Genin are, seeing them enjoying a nice tasty meal, and would ask what happened. Naruto would explain that he knocked him out and sent him into the trees and retrieved two of the bells. Kakashi would ask who he would give the second bell to, seeming that Naruto did pass the test. But because of Naruto and his kind heart, he would give the bells to Sasuke and Sakura, saying that he can go back to the academy as long as they can pass, and he can always pass next year, as he is strong enough to do it. Seeing that Naruto did somewhat use teamwork during the actual fighting, as well as giving the two bells to Sasuke and Sakura, he would decide to pass them, saying that they did use teamwork, and give the same speech that those who do not follow the rules are scum, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than scum. With that being said, the next few days they would complete many D-rank missions, like catching Tora, the Fire Daimyo's wife's cat. With a lot of D-rank missions now under the belt of Team 7, they would all go into the Hokage Tower, in which Naruto would insist on doing something more exciting. The third Hokage agreed to send them on a C-rank mission to escort Tazuna, a master bridge builder, back to the Land of Waves. After Tazuna is brought into the office where the Hokage is, he would meet the new team and would note that they seemed to be stronger than what he would expect for Genin, minus the pink-haired girl and the, somewhat of the Uchiha. After being assigned the new mission, they would head off to Konoha's gates, signing out and going towards the actual Land of Waves. Skipping towards later in the mission, the team was attacked by two demon brothers, and with Naruto's quick reaction speed to this, he would quickly slap the weapons out of the two brothers' hands, as well as punch them simultaneously, knocking them out with a punch to the face. With the two being knocked out, Kakashi would note that these two brothers are Chunin level, and not something that you would expect in a C-rank mission. With Tazuna now being pressured by Kakashi to explain what's happening, he would explain all these stuff in the original. With Kakashi in his mind, he would also note that Naruto was able to take down those two Chunin with relative ease, but was only somewhat able to track Naruto's speed. But with the other Genin, they would note that they weren't even able to track Naruto, and didn't even notice that anything had happened before it was too late. With everything happening the same as the original, they would all go and still escort Tazuna back to the Land of Waves. With all of them getting on the boat and crossing the sea barrier to the Land of Waves, they would continue walking, but as they're walking, a giant sword would spin near them. With Naruto seeing this with his exceptional eyesight, he would tell the team to duck simultaneously with Kakashi, with the now giant sword spinning right over their heads, with the sword then embedding itself into a tree. Zabuza our missing nin from the Demon Mist Village, I think as you say it, would jump onto its handle, telling them that if he hands over the bridge builder, he won't kill them all. He would then see Kakashi, in which Kakashi, like the original, would tell the team to back off and protect the bridge builder, and he would go off to fight Zabuza. With the fight up until Kakashi is trapped in the water prison jutsu would go the exact same. But with Naruto, seeing that Kakashi is trapped in the water jutsu, he would rush off using the first form dance, slicing down Zabuza's water clone, and then continuing running and dashing towards the real Zabuza. Zabuza, not thinking much of Naruto, he would get ready to half-heartedly defend against Naruto's sword attacks, thinking that he's much more advanced than Naruto in any kenjutsu. With Naruto running up, he would use the 6th form, Solar Heat Haze. And with Zabuza starting to laugh as the sword doesn't seem to be going towards his head and coming to a near miss, he would start to relish in the fact that his victory is now confirmed. But with Naruto smirking as Zabuza seems to not realize what's happening, he would swiftly cut off Zabuza's head, releasing Kakashi from the water prison jutsu. Haku, in the trees above, would immediately go red in anger, seeing that her master, someone that she cared so deeply for, had just been decapitated right in front of his eyes. He would immediately rush towards Naruto, aiming to kill him. But with Naruto being able to sense everything around him, he would notice Haku and use his 8th form, Sunflower Thrust, stabbing his sword right into Haku's heart, but killing the boy instantly before he realized that he was dead. With the two now dead bodies, Sakura, seeing this, would start to vomit out everything that she had eaten before. Sasuke would also feel a bit different in his mind, now having a flashback of his clan in Itachi, in which Itachi had killed his parents, as well as put him under the Tsukuyomi. And through this flashback, he would now reawaken his Sharingan permanently this time. With that now all being done, Sasuke relishing in the fact that he had now awoken his clan's dojutsu, now believing that he will be more powerful than anybody now, even Naruto at this point, because he's got the famous Sharingan. They would all go to Tazuna's house, in which they would now meet his daughter and grandson Inari. The same stuff with Naruto would happen, with Naruto giving Inari that speech about not giving up and to continue fighting, even if it means that, pain and suffering will still happen. With Kakashi the next day deciding to train the team in chakra control, he would show them the tree walking exercise, in which Naruto would walk up the tree in his 5th try, and would then from now on have near perfect chakra control, as through his demonic body he'd be able to perfectly now control his chakra control, being a prodigy and whatnot. With Sakura, who had low reserves and high chakra control, she'd be able to do it near her 7th and 8th try. With Sasuke, who does have a considerable amount of chakra and low control over it, so to speak, for someone his age, he would only get it after a few hours, much like the original, but would get it later on as he isn't being boosted by his rivalry with Naruto. With Gato, later on, hearing about the two ninjas that he had hired dying to some genin, he thinks to resolve this issue by himself, to take out Tazuna with a bunch of men that he will hire. With the next day coming around, the team would all go with Tazuna to the bridge, in which they would encounter Gato and his small army of men. The team would get ready to fight, all going in defensive and attacking positions, like Naruto and Kakashi, and Sasuke and Sakura in the defensive around Tazuna. Kakashi would order Naruto to keep the team safe and to keep Tazuna safe, more importantly, as that is their mission here. Kakashi would then rush off and start to massacre all the men that are near him, and would slowly get to Gato. But before he could, he would see two men coming with Inari and Tazuna's daughter. Naruto, seeing this, who is just relaxing at this point as he knows Kakashi is skilled enough to continue to massacre the rest of the people there, with seeing Tazuna's daughter and grandson being held hostage, he would seethe in anger. He would immediately rush off in a blurring speed, faster than anybody at that moment could see, with Sasuke having his Sharingan activated at that point. he wouldn't be able to track Naruto's speed, as it is extremely fast for, someone even with a fully matured Sharingan. And with Naruto seeing that the two men with Inari and Tasuna's daughter hostage slowly slashing their knives on their necks, he would use the seventh form, Beneficent Radiance, and would spiral into the air, delivering a powerful 2-slash combo on the men, cutting them down, saving the two immediately. With Gato not having any hostages now, the villagers would come and surround him, and you kind of know what would happen next. Now that the mission has been complete, after staying like a week later and the bridge being completely built, the bridge would be named the Great Naruto Bridge because of Naruto's determination and saving his daughter and grandson. With the team now having the mission finished, they would all head back to the village, with the next arc coming to the new beginning. With Naruto going and meeting the Hokage for a quick chat about what's been happening in his life, as he is still, an orphan of the village. He would then also meet Konohamaru. With Konohamaru coming into the door, slamming it open, he would immediately rush towards the third Hokage, but would slip on his scarf and would start to blame Naruto for tripping him up, in which Naruto would say that he doesn't care, and the same situation would happen with Naruto saying that he doesn't care if Tazuna is the son of the daimyo or the Hokage's grandmother for all he cares, and would pick him up, headbutting him right into the noggin. With Konohamaru now sensing a new type of brothership with Naruto, he would continue to follow him around underneath a cardboard box, in which when Naruto would meet Sakura, and the same mishap would happen with that, with Konohamaru asking if Sakura is Naruto's girlfriend, in which he would decline, saying that's not what's happening, with Konohamaru saying that that's good because Sakura has a massive forehead. Sakura would immediately get annoyed and would start to chase Konohamaru, with Konohamaru bumping into Kankuro and Temari. Naruto would see this all and would see Kankuro getting ready to punch Konohamaru, but Naruto would immediately rush off to where the two are and grab Kankuro's wrist before he could punch Konohamaru, and would slowly squeeze it, not squeezing it so hard to hurt Kankuro, but to make sure he's not joking. Kankuro would decide that this is just a threat and there's no way that a genin from this type of village would be able to beat him, and would get ready to punch Konohamaru again. But with Naruto holding onto his wrist now, he would squeeze him in harder and would snap his wrist. With Temari there as well, she would start to ready her fan, but with Naruto staring directly at her, releasing a bit of blood loss, she would get a very similar image to what her brother does and would tremble in fear, stopping exactly where she is. Gaara would come out of the tree in which he was standing, and the same type of conversation would happen in the original, with Gaara asking who Naruto is and if he's going to be in the Chunin exams, with Naruto saying that he doesn't know if he's going to be in the Chunin exams yet, but he'll find out now, with Gaara saying that he hopes he is so he can kill him himself. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, who was in the tree, would leave and meet up with Kakashi, which Kakashi would ask if the three would want to be in the Chunin exams, in which they would all agree that they want to be. With the next day coming to a close and the next day, coming up now, the exams would now start. With Team 7 going into the exam room, they would meet all the other teams from the Konoha 12, and with Naruto being on quite friendly terms with all of them, would wave and say hello to all of them, with a lot of the other genin from other villages thinking that Naruto is a very naive boy and seems to not be any trouble at all. He would have that friendly type of attitude around him. Sasuke would see Kabuto giving out information about some of the other genin in the exam, and would ask him about Naruto, Gaara, and Rock Lee, seeing as he heard about Rock Lee before but didn't know any information about him prior to this exam. With Kabuto giving some information about them all, he would get to Naruto, and because the third Hokage had wrote down some of Naruto's powers and skills and abilities that he had from observing him over the years of Naruto's childhood and his training before becoming a ninja in the academy, he would list off a few of his skills, such as his mastery of Kenjutsu, his really strong regeneration, his limitless stamina and endurance, as well as his freakish strength and genius intelligence. With a lot of the people around him now starting to fear Naruto, as he didn't seem like anything that his actual powers represent, having a kind, friendly outer exterior, but a very menacing and powerful interior. With all the other now getting a bit nervous, the exam would start, with Ibiki telling everyone that this is a 10-question quiz, and that the last question will be given at the end of the exam. With the exam starting, Naruto, who is extremely smart, would answer the first 9 questions with relative ease, much like what Sakura did in the original. But with the 10th question coming around, Naruto wouldn't say anything, deciding that it would be beneficial for him and his team if more people would leave. But before people could start to get up, Rock Lee would jump on the table, standing up, saying that it's his ninja way to continue to strive for perfection, and the only way to continue is to try hard and work hard, which would boost everyone's morale, and a lot of the same people would stay. Basically, the exact same people would stay. With the second phase of the exam now starting, and the leader of that being Anko would explain the rules and what the exam actually is for what's coming up, and Naruto and his team would be given the Heaven Scroll, with Team 7 deciding that Naruto should keep the scroll as he is the smartest and strongest. They would decide to now go into the Forest of Death. Going into the Forest of Death, they would encounter very few teams, and the teams that they do find, in kind of sense, seem to be running away from them, seeming to avoid them entirely, as from their prior knowledge of Naruto and his skill, they would find him quite menacing, and they know that if they do try to fight Naruto, they would most probably lose. And with the teams that they do find, always having a Heaven Scroll as well. With Naruto continually with Team 7 continuing the second phase of the exam, Naruto would sense an evil presence and would get immediately attacked by a massive snake, which would then proceed to swallow him whole. With Naruto in the middle of the snake, he would use the 10th form, Fire Wheel, spinning in the throat of the snake, decapitating it, killing it instantly. With Naruto realizing this must be a distraction to get to Sasuke, he would immediately rush off to where his 2 team members are and see Sasuke fighting with the grass ninja. Rushing towards him, he would try to use the 8th form, but Orochimaru would see this and throw Sasuke away and would dash towards Naruto, seemingly making the 8th form useless in this scenario, in which Naruto would stop it and use the 3rd form, Raging Sun, and would slash twice at Orochimaru, defending him from the attack that Orochimaru was going from, as well as cutting both of his arms clear off. With Orochimaru being surprised at this, as he wasn't expecting Naruto to change his entire battle strike right there. He would immediately back off, spitting himself out a new body to fight on a proper one-on-one with Naruto, as Naruto's skill is quite surprisingly strong for someone his age, reminding him a bit of Itachi. With Sasuke, who sees the fight against Naruto and Orochimaru, he would back down, thinking that he is outclassed in every scenario, as well as being very terrified of Orochimaru, as the amount of killing intent and aura that he is outputting is terrifying Sasuke. With the fight with Naruto and Orochimaru, they would both be getting a few hits on each other, but it'd be clear that Naruto is getting outskilled because of Naruto's lack of experience in fighting on a much higher skilled person, and Orochimaru with much more experience with fighting people on a higher skill than what Naruto is used to. He'd be beating Naruto, but with every attack that Orochimaru does, trying to cut him and pretty much kill him instantly, Naruto would always completely regenerate. Orochimaru would continue to strike Naruto, cutting his arms and limbs off, but Naruto would keep on regenerating them pretty much instantly, which would make Orochimaru extremely curious about Naruto's entire body itself, realizing that his regeneration is something on another level, something that isn't natural and can't be done by a regular jutsu or experimenting on a body. With Naruto, who is getting manhandled at this point with barely being able to defend, Naruto's Demon Slayer mark on his forehead would start to expand, with another mark appearing on the right side of his face, and on the bottom right side of his chin, starting to expand and cover more of his face in a much more vibrant, fire-like pattern. With the mark now flaring up on his face, Naruto's strength and speed, as well as all the perception that he gets, is enhancing more than tenfold on what he was used to. With Naruto fighting Orochimaru, Orochimaru would get annoyed as Naruto's strength is increasing and he isn't slowing down, but instead is starting to accelerate as his regeneration is continuing to be very fast and is now being able to deal blows on Orochimaru, dealing a lot of damage to him, in which he'd constantly have to back down and spit himself out a new body and slither around to try and cut down Naruto. But with Naruto always clashing with the sword that now Orochimaru had spat out of his stomach, and the clashing of the two blades, he would start to overwhelm Orochimaru, in which Orochimaru would have to stop holding back at this point, believing that if he cut Naruto in half, then that would definitely stop the boy from healing anymore. Orochimaru would catch Naruto off guard and would cut him straight in half from the torso. But with Orochimaru not expecting Naruto to heal so fast, Naruto's body would instantly reconnect and would kick Orochimaru into a massive tree and into the ground with the amount of force that created a mini earthquake around the vicinity, with a lot of the other genin and as well the Proctor and all the other people in the village itself feeling this mini earthquake. With Orochimaru now knowing that he needs to get out of here, as many Anbu as well as maybe the Hokage will be coming down to where Naruto is, sensing and feeling this amount of power that's being expelled from Naruto's body. He would decide that he needs to leave, but before he does, he would slither to Sasuke, extending his neck and giving him the curse mark. With Naruto, who wasn't fast enough to stop Orochimaru from giving Sasuke the Hiki, Orochimaru would reverse summon himself out of the area, but with him being in such a rush to get out, he would leave his Earth Scroll behind, and Naruto would grab it, as well as Sasuke, who has been passed out, and would tell Sakura that they need to get away and finish this part of the exam to get Sasuke treated. Sakura, looking at Naruto, would see that his clothes are tattered and ripped, and a lot of his clothing is just gone at this point, except for his pants. With that being said, Naruto would grab the scrolls and Sasuke and carry him to the middle of the Forest of Death, where the tower is. But halfway through running, Sakura would get tired, in which he would have to carry her on her back for the rest of the way. With them finishing the second part of the exam, Sasuke would have to get checked up for his health and seal and whatnot, and the curse mark would be sealed instantly without it having much effect on Sasuke at all at this point. With 7 teams managing to pass, which was twice as many as they had been expected, to cut down on the prevailing genin from the second exam, a preliminary round was staged for the third and final stage of the Chunin exams. The 21 people, or 20 people after Kabuto withdrew, they would all start to get their names listed out on who will be fighting first. With Naruto versus Kiba being the first one. Kiba, who after training a lot to beat Naruto, as during the academy always lost to him in a very fast fashion, will believe that he's gotten to the amount of skill that Naruto has, not thinking that Naruto has trained whatsoever at all during the entire time as from when he last fought him. Kiba would have a cocky smirk on his face, believing that he could definitely beat Naruto, as when the match started, he would immediately run towards Naruto, running as fast as he can, but in Naruto's eyes this is all snail-paced, and with one swift headbutt to Kiba's noggin, he would be knocked out by Naruto, in which Naruto would be granted the winner of that round. With all the other matches going the exact same, there's no difference. With the 1 month breaks now starting, Naruto would wander around the village and would then meet with Jiraiya. Jiraiya would agree to train Naruto, seeing the monstrous amount of potential he has, and the amount of strength that he already possesses. He'll become something the world has never seen before. Naruto as well declines the offer of learning the Toad Sage contract, as it's not his style, as he uses the swords and isn't someone to summon things like what Jiraiya does or any of the Sanin. With the break now ending and the finals now starting, Sasuke would arrive late like usual and would get moved to the last fight. With Naruto vs Neji being the next round, Naruto, getting down to the middle of the stage, would see Neji and they would both get into a stance, ready to fight each other. Neji, believing that he is much stronger than Naruto, would rush towards him, thinking that he can outskill and outspeed Naruto, and would get real cocky, rushing towards him. Naruto would immediately just sweep Neji's legs, knocking him to the ground. With Naruto smirking at Neji, he would tell him to get up, in which Neji would immediately get up to his feet and would start to swing at Naruto, trying to get any of his chakra points, but Naruto would just dodge every strike, taunting Neji while doing it, making Neji even more angrier. With Naruto, who is now starting to block Neji's punches, he would immediately grab one of Neji's punches by his left hand and would slap the life out of Neji. Neji would fall to the ground, unconscious, with 2 massive red marks on each of his cheeks, and Naruto will be granted the winner of this fight. With the last match being Sasuke and Gaara, Sasuke would arrive with Kakashi in the middle of the arena, and the fight with Gaara would start. With Sasuke in the original, fighting against Gaara. Before Sasuke could win the match, however, a smoke bomb would go off in the Kage box, and the Konoha Crush would begin. So that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this what if. It took so long to actually do this one because I tried to record it before and then it just stopped, recording, and I didn't realize it, and then I tried to save the thing and then it just didn't save. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.